Hey guys, welcome back to the channel and happy holidays! So this week we're taking a look at a horrible case of familicide that just so happens to have occurred on Christmas Day in 1929. It's sad and just terrible to think about, but I don't want to give too much away, so without further ado, sit back, relax, and let's dive in. Charles Lawson was born on May 10, 1886. His parents raised him in Lawsonville, North Carolina. In 1911, he married Fanny Mannering, and the two would go on to have 8 children together. Marie, aged 17, Arthur, aged 16, Carrie, aged 12, Mabel, aged 7, James, aged 4, Raymond, aged 2, and Mary Lou, aged 4 months. The couple had another boy in 1914 that they named William, who unfortunately succumbed to an illness in 1920. When Charles' 2 younger brothers, Marion and Elijah, moved to the Germantown area in 1918, Charles followed suit with his family. The Lawsons found work as tenant tobacco farmers, and by 1927 they had saved up enough money to buy their own farm on Brook Cove Road. Shortly before Christmas in December of 1929, Charles took his family to town and purchased expensive new clothing for his wife Fanny and their 7 children before arranging for the family to have their portrait taken. Now, having a portrait taken was a rare and unusual, maybe even slightly suspicious event, especially for a family like the Lawsons. They worked as tobacco farmers, and the cost of photos at the time was more than what they could have comfortably afforded. And for Charles to spend money unnecessarily when finances were already tight was just odd. This portrait led some people to believe Charles wanted this photo as the final legacy of his family, frozen in time forever. Christmas morning was particularly busy for the Lawsons. The eldest child, Marie, woke up early to bake a cake. It was a 2-layer cake covered with raisins and frosting. 16-year-old Arthur was sent on an errand by his father to gather more ammunition for hunting. 12-year-old Carrie and 7-year-old Mabel were going to visit their aunt and uncle who lived in a farmhouse nearby. As Carrie and Mabel left their house, their father was waiting behind the barn with a loaded shotgun. Charles shot Carrie and Mabel, bludgeoned them, and then dragged their bodies inside the barn. Fanny, who was sitting on the porch at the time, ran into the house screaming. But there was no place to hide. Charles shot and killed his wife as well. Marie and her 2 younger brothers, 4-year-old James and 2-year-old Raymond, were screaming and crying hysterically in the kitchen as they watched their mother die. Charles shot and killed all 3 of the children in the kitchen. In a gruesome and final act of massacring his entire family, Charles bludgeoned Mary Lou, who died of a skull fracture. Arthur was the only surviving family member. Sadly, in 1945, Arthur was killed in a car accident at age 32. Arthur left behind a wife and 4 children. It was speculated Charles had only sent Arthur on a needless errand because he feared his son would be the only one able to stop him. Unfortunately, even with the sound of 6 gunshots, no one attempted to intervene. Apparently, it was a common practice to go rabbit hunting on Christmas Day. So even if the Lawsons' neighbors heard gunshots, they wouldn't have thought twice about it. Arthur returned home to find his mother and 6 siblings dead. Charles had placed rocks under each of his victims' heads and their hands on their chest. As Arthur notified the authorities, a crowd began to form at the Lawson family home. The police began searching for Charles, who was nowhere to be found. A few hours later, a gunshot was heard from the woods. It would be Charles. Footsteps were found around a tree, suggesting he had been pacing prior to pulling the trigger. Letters to his parents were also found next to him, but neither of them contained a motive. So, what could drive a man to murder 7 members of his family, and that too on Christmas Day? There are some theories that have bubbled to the surface, so I want to discuss them. Months before the event, Charles sustained a head injury while digging a ditch on the farm. His family and friends theorized that the injury altered his mental state, stating he was never the same afterwards. They theorized that this injury led to the massacre. However, an autopsy performed at Johns Hopkins in Baltimore, Maryland, revealed something else. The analysis of his brain showed no evidence of brain trauma. Charles impregnated his teenage daughter, Marie. This was first chronicled in the book White Christmas, Bloody Christmas, published in 1990 by M. Bruce Jones and Trudy J. Smith. In the book, they claimed an incestuous relationship occurred between Charles and his eldest daughter, Marie. This surfaced beginning with an anonymous source who heard the rumor during a tour of the Lawson family home after the murders. The day before the book was to be published, the author received a call from Stella Lawson, the daughter of Marion Lawson. Stella said that she had overheard Fanny's sister-in-law and aunts, including Stella's mother, Jettie Lawson, discussing how Fanny had confided in them that she had been concerned about an incestuous relationship between Charles and Marie. Jettie died in May of 1928. Meaning Fanny had been suspicious of the relationship before the murders took place in 1929. More supporting evidence for this theory was revealed in The Meaning of Tears, which was published by the same author in 2006. A friend of Marie, Ella May, revealed a few weeks before the murders, Marie told her that she was pregnant with her father's baby. As previously mentioned, Charles Lawson's body had footprints around him, suspecting that he had paced for a while before committing. There were also 2 unfinished notes in his pockets, one reading, "Troubles can cause," and the other read, "No one to blame but." It's possible that maybe Charles's shame over his daughter's pregnancy may have led to the murders. In fact, it has been suspected that in the infamous Lawson family portrait, if you look closely at Marie, her dress looks tight around her midsection, which almost seems to indicate a baby bump. After the murders, one of Charles's brothers, Marion Lawson, opened the house as a tourist attraction. The home was never cleaned. It was left in disarray, with the victims' bloodstains still intact. Oddly enough, the cake Marie had made that tragic day was kept around. It spent years as the star attraction at the murder site and also in carnival sideshows. It eventually had to be placed in a glass cover due to people picking off the raisins to keep as souvenirs. When the tours ended, one of Lawson's relatives took the cake home and eventually buried it. In the 5 years the home was on display, it brought thousands of people, inspiring songs and even a movie. No one knows why Charles Lawson chose to kill almost his entire family, but what is known is that it appears to have been premeditated. The portrait, sending off Arthur, who could have stopped the chaos, and even arranging the bodies. Charles had decided before that this needed to happen. But why? The crime has certainly lived on, its name that evokes fear and tragedy, even a century later. According to the Charlotte Observer, published on December 28, 1929, more than 5,000 people attended the funeral services for the Lawson family. After the last rites had been conducted, the caskets were opened to permit friends to view the bodies. More than 3 hours were required for the people, forming 2 aisles, to pass the caskets in which the remains of 8 victims lay. The Lawson family massacre is something I've just learned about, and it's definitely one of those I won't forget. It's so senseless that so many innocent lives had to be lost over something Charles was dealing with. But what did you guys think of this? Let me know in the comments below. And as always, if you enjoyed this, consider giving me a thumbs up and let me know you're enjoying the content. And if you're not subscribed, join us. One of us. One of us. I also wanted to take a moment to wish you and your family, friends, whichever applies, a warm and happy holidays. I appreciate your love and support. And I also wanted to say, holy wow, we've reached over 400 subscribers on the channel, and I can't believe it. I seriously can't thank you all enough. You guys are the best. Thank you for joining me this week, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye, guys.